Hi, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk about 3 cons and 3 pros and 1 bonus con/pro of living in a dry area. My name is Fran Anderson and I am president of Springs Choice Welcome Service. So Colorado Springs is a very dry area. The air here is very dry, meaning that the humidity is very low. Hold on while I get some water here. I'm almost out. I'm in trouble. The number 1 con of dry air is water. So water becomes a little bit more of an expense at times here in Colorado Springs. So you can save a little money in the winter on water, but in the summer it is so dry, water evaporates so quickly. So here in Colorado Springs and other dry places, it becomes particularly important to consider the timing of when you're watering your garden, your flowers, your grass, or anything like that outside. You need to think about when the most evaporation happens because you want your plants to have time to absorb the water. So generally people here tend to water their lawns in the mornings and evenings. So I consider that a con because it does cost a little more in your water bill, and then you have to drink a lot as a person. And so for some people that could be very challenging because they don't enjoy the taste of water, and so making sure they stay hydrated could be a little more challenging for some people. So the number 2 con would be personal care, because you actually need more emollients and lotions and chapsticks and sunscreens and things to protect your skin in the dry, hot, sunny air. So what you may notice in your personal care is that your nails may start to become brittle, your hair might become more fragile, your lips might just start peel and cracking and become chapped where maybe that was never an issue before. You know, if you have eczema, that could be exacerbated by this dry air. So that can be a real con for a lot of people. Number 3 con of dry air is the stuffy noses, the sinuses. Sometimes the sinuses kind of like dry air, especially if they're a little bit drippy. The dry air can kind of help dry things out. But for the most part, it's a negative, because if you actually have a cold, a sinus infection, or the flu, you'll generally get the advice from your doctor to put a humidifier in your room, because the phlegm and the mucus gets stuck, like it does not loose. So the moisture helps loosen up that phlegm so that your coughing and things like that are more productive. So you have more productive coughs, and blowing your nose is a lot more effective. So you may have to buy more nasal rinses, try to take hot showers, get a humidifier, and do other things that are going to help you release that mucus. All right, enough talk about mucus. Let's talk about the pros. The number 1 pro for dry air is that everything dries faster, right? Sometimes that's not good, but sometimes that is good, especially if you're trying to save a little money and dry some of your clothing. Depending on where you live, you may or may not be able to hang some clothes out outside. Even in your own house, if you have like a sweater that you're laying out to dry, or you're hanging stuff up to dry in your own house, it'll dry really fast. And not only your clothes dry faster, but also anything that you're washing that needs to dry will get faster. So if you're having your carpets cleaned, your carpets will dry faster. And also, we kind of talked a little bit before in the cons about brittle or fragile hair due to the dry air. Well, because it is dry, it could help you from needing to blow dry your hair, because your hair will dry faster. And last but not least, to that pro is the snow melt. So that is a very big advantage, because the snow in the winter will evaporate quickly, and the roads tend to clear up quite quickly here. We tend to have less ice issues here in Colorado Springs despite our snowfall, which isn't even that bad, but you do have to watch out for what's called black ice. And that could be something that you might need to learn if you aren't familiar. They call it black ice, but basically it's just a part of the road that looks like maybe it's just wet, but really it's icy. And it could cause you to slip unexpectedly on that street. The number 2 pro to dry air is, we kind of already touched on it, is less mildew and mold issues. I have found that in order to get mold here in Colorado Springs, you need to have a closed environment that has moisture. So Colorado Springs is famous for basements. So a lot of houses and townhomes here have basements, and those are the areas that may experience this issue because they're underground. They get to retain some moisture, and they're more enclosed. They tend to get less fresh air, this fresh dry air. And so those places could harbor a little bit more of that issue. But in general, it's actually less of a problem here for mold and mildew. Bathrooms can still be a trouble, especially if they're not getting ventilated. But it's a lot easier to control because if you just take measures to get the dry air into your bathroom, you will have less problems with your bathroom getting funky. And last but not least, another pro to the dry air is a reduction in insects. So we already have a reduction in insects due to our snow and winters. That already rules out some insects that just can't overwinter. And then the low humidity also helps with some insects that especially like humidity. Now, we talked a little bit about like basements being places where moisture can linger, and because we do get rain here and then it goes into the ground. So we have very good, we have lots of groundwater here. We have lots of streams and from snow runoff and everything like that. So it's not like Colorado's short of water. It's just that where water isn't, it's dry, if that makes any sense. So some of the insects that I'm going to go ahead and read off this list of insects that particularly like moisture. Roaches, termites, mosquitoes, chiggers and ticks, and lightning bugs, snails, and slugs. So those we tend to see a lot less of here in Colorado Springs. And as far as your home and insects go, I found that you can save money with pest control here because pests are less of an issue. I recommend maybe doing a border spray around your house, and generally that's going to keep away some of the pesky things that we do have here. There's still ants. Ants can be kind of pesky sometimes here. Spiders, the garden spiders. Mostly the spiders we have are harmless. I have seen black widows out in the woods, but for the most part, the ones you're going to see around your house are going to be the harmless spiders, but you don't want them in your house. So you can just put a perimeter for those. And then, why is this video turning into an insect video? But sadly, we don't have the lightning bugs for the kids, but it is, still a plus in my book. Now, as promised, the bonus one that's both a pro and a con, depending on how you look at it, is static electricity. I kind of see it more as like something fun and unique, but it can be a hazard, so I probably shouldn't get too excited about it because it can lead to fires and explosions, because static electricity is a lot more predominant here. It's much more easy to get static electricity built up, and so you could just shuffle your feet on your carpet and touch somebody and shock them. That can happen whether you try it or not. And then sometimes when my kids go down the slides at the playground, their hair just gets crazy. It looks like they stuck their hand in a light socket because of the static electricity. So there's a lot of humor in it, but you may have seen those signs at the gas stations that say, you need to not go back into your car and come back out. You need to stay out there without a cell phone or anything. that holds so true here. Please don't go in your car and get static electricity built up and then go back out to your gas cap and remove the gas nozzle, because that is very dangerous. Static electricity is a real thing here, and so please take it seriously when it comes to safety. However, it also can be a little bit fun. So you decide if that's a pro or a con. You can leave a comment down below this video and let me know if you thought of any more pros or cons to dry air. You know, Colorado Springs is really dry, but there are other places that are dry. And so if you have other experiences, I'd love to hear them. Cheers! Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us in our mission to bring more information to people of Colorado Springs. Thank you so much. Bye.